Today, I want to continue our discussion on spiritual ascension symptoms. So last time we got into the symptoms, and this time I want to give you some tips to help you navigate those symptoms, okay? Welcome back to Elevation 44, where we learn how to master our energy, and we do that through three main areas: spirituality, holistic living, and astrology. I'm your girl B. For those of you who don't know me, if you're new to the channel, welcome. So happy to have you here. Last time we saw each other, we were talking about spiritual ascension and spiritual ascension symptoms. So today what I want to do is give you some tips on how to deal with spiritual ascension. We identified the symptoms. Now, like, what are some ways that we can move through this energy and help ourselves through this ascension process? Okay. The tea that I'm drinking today is the Aries Moon Tea, and this tea right here is amazing. Like, when you're talking about getting that boost of energy, confidence, vitality, creativity, this is the tea for you, especially when you're feeling some of these ascension symptoms. They can weigh down your energy and have you feeling a little bogged down. So this is a good tea to give you that boost of energy. Like, my moon is already in Aries, so I tend to already have a lot of fire. I bring the fire, but sometimes I need that boost, and so I will turn to this tea to give me that. And again, I'm linking everything in the description box down below if you are interested in getting the tea for yourself. All right, let's get right into it. So first thing we're going to talk about is, what is spiritual ascension? So if you missed my last video, I'm going to link that as well so that you can check that out. But spiritual ascension is basically moving from one level of consciousness into another. So you're moving into a higher level of consciousness. Now, that means you can experience some symptoms, physical symptoms and spiritual symptoms. And a lot of those common ones we identified in the last video. So I would go back and watch that video if you have not watched it already. I personally believe that we are in the university called life, right? The earth is the university, and while we are moving from one level of consciousness, it's almost like you're moving from one grade level to the next. So you start off in elementary school, you go from kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade. That is what I think of when in terms of us graduating from one level of consciousness and moving up into the next level of consciousness. Each grade level has certain lessons, has certain things that we're supposed to master, that we're supposed to learn, that ways that we're supposed to evolve for our soul evolution. And the reason why we move up into these grade levels collectively is because we are one, right? When you think of that oneness, when you think of that I am you and you are me and we are all one, that's why we collectively move into these ages together, even though we're on our individual journey. So it's like, we're having our individual experiences in our grade level, but we're also moving up grade levels like a class together. I hope that makes sense, okay? So let's get right into some of the tips that I find will be very helpful to help you navigate these ascension symptoms. Okay, so the first tip that I want to recommend you doing to get through some of these ascension symptoms is meditation. Now, the reason why I will always recommend meditation, probably first and last, is because meditation really connects you to the bigger picture. It helps you understand what's going on within, and it helps you understand what's going on the outside of you as well. If you never take that time to quiet yourself down, you don't even know what you're experiencing. You can't even tie the pieces together, right? And this is a powerful time to also tap into a higher level of consciousness, since we are moving into a higher level of consciousness, and getting connected to your higher self, getting downloads from your higher self. If you have a spirit team, right? I call them my spirit tribe, which are your ancestors, your spirit guides, your angels, you know, the divine, the higher consciousness, the all-knowing God, whatever you want to call that energy. This is a time to get like powerful downloads from the spiritual realm. This is also a time where you can, get in tune and increase a lot of your psychic abilities. Meditation is definitely my #1 recommendation. It also helps you calm down your anxiety levels, because there can be a sense of anxiousness that you feel with the Ascension symptoms. So it just kind of helps temper everything out and helps you get really connected to the bigger picture. Okay, so the second tip that I have for you, if you are having headaches, if you are having trouble sleeping, if you are having any physical sensations, I would recommend that you stay away from medication to help you get through those things. And let me explain why. If you are taking medicine to Advil, if you're taking Tylenol, whatever, to help you get through those headaches, those things, those chemicals, which are what pharmaceutical drugs are, those chemicals are going through your system, and that's one more thing for your body to deal with, you know, while it's processing everything else. You don't want to be numbing sensations. You want to be able to feel everything. Now, by all means, if you have like a freaking migraine and you can't think, and you are on the verge of like, being in the hospital, I'm not saying to stay away from medication. But if you just have a regular headache, if it is a dull sensation, do not take medication to numb your senses, okay? Same thing goes for sleeping. If you're having trouble sleeping, do not take any sleeping aids to help you sleep through the night. One of the things that we will talk about in another video is the ability to lucid dream, and sleep aids pretty much knock you out so that you have no control in the dream world. And being alert and lucid while you're dreaming is another way to get lots of powerful downloads, to connect a lot of pieces, to go to different dimensions, to go to different realities per se, and to help you tie in that with your experience that you're having here on Earth. So I would recommend that you definitely stay away from the sleeping aids, and if you can, stay away from medications that will numb your senses. Okay, so while we're talking about numbing senses, the third tip that I want to bring up is I want you to try to stay away from alcohol, or limit your alcohol or recreational drug use, and I'll explain that in further detail. The reason why I say that is because alcohol has a numbing sensation. It numbs your senses. Yeah, it feels good in the moment, but it really numbs you so that you're not able to get a lot of those downloads. You're not able to really understand what's going on. You're not able to be present and fully aware. And it's another thing that your body has to process and deal with. So your brain and everything that you need to be sharp and functioning at a higher level at this time, because we are moving into that higher energetic field, we're moving into that higher level of consciousness. It really needs to be on. And when you have the alcohol slowing your system down, slowing your brain down, slowing your think down, it is going to be off. The same thing with recreational drugs. I don't knock anybody. Look, everybody's got their own thing. I know some people dibble dabble here with stuff, but if it's heavy use, I would say to try to limit that. Anything that's going to just numb the ability to connect, to put the pieces together, to feel, and to really think, okay? Tip number 4 is probably one that you're gonna wanna do anyway. Try to stay out of toxic environments. Try to stay away from toxic people. And if you can't stay away from that, try to limit your time in those environments or with those people. So you're probably gonna already have an aversion to certain environments and certain people anyway. So this tip is probably one of the easier ones to implement. But your energy is very important at this time, and you need to be in the space of, self-preservation, right? And so if you're putting yourself in environments where you are in toxic, low energy vibes, those vibes are going to drag you down, especially if you're around a lot of low energy people. They'll also drag you down into the abyss of low energy, and that is definitely not what you need right now, because you're already feeling kind of crappy from the Ascension symptoms. It's very easy to slip under and just get into a space where you feel depressed, where you feel anxious, where you feel you have really, really bad thoughts. and you may, even carry that out in bad actions. So my advice is to definitely stay away from those toxic ass people and those toxic ass environments, or just limit your time with them. Okay, tip number 5 is another thing that ties into senses. Now, your senses are going to be extra sensitive at this time. So we don't want to numb our senses, and we don't want to overstimulate them either. So this is a great time for detaching from the programs of the Matrix. And I'm talking about music, I'm talking about TV and movies. I'm not saying that you have to completely, it's great if you can fully detach, but I would limit my exposure to them. I would definitely be very mindful of what I'm watching, aka the news, aka toxic movies, things that plant seeds in your mind, music, just things that have messaging that is subconsciously just being planted into your mind that you're not even aware of. That will bring your energy down even more. And so you have to be just very mindful of everything that you are taking in on a daily basis. Tip number 6, I would encourage you to purge whatever is no longer serving you. You might get this inkling anyway on your own. One of the Ascension symptoms is to just kind of push off and push away from things that you're not necessarily vibing with anymore. So my advice is to, when those sensations come up, allow yourself to just really detach from the things that your spirit is telling you or your conscious is telling you to leave alone. So if you're in the mood to clean out your place and purge old things that you don't need, purge of relationships, people, ideas, mindsets, mentality, just allow yourself to really just follow that inkling and purge out what's no longer serving you. Because like I said in my previous video, those things are coming up for a reason. Those feelings are coming up for a reason. And it's because you're not necessarily supposed to take that into the next level. So tip number 7 is very closely connected to tip number 1, which is take time to breathe. Breath work is so important. If you just take, when you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious or just feeling, really crappy, just taking 5 minutes to sit down and inhale and exhale and just allow your mind to focus and recenter is really going to help you along the way. I don't know. I thought I was going to add something to that, but no, nothing else was coming. Another thing with breath work, exercise is also great. So getting that chi moving, breath work does get the chi moving inside of you, but if you can physically move your body, getting that chi moving will help you. Tip number 8 is something that I've spoke about before, and I feel like I need to go more in depth in it, but we're gonna save that for another video. But for now, I just wanna highlight that you should be doing your shadow work. Face your shadow self. And who is your shadow self? Your shadow self is that neglected side of you. It's those inner demons. It's that kind of those darker aspects of yourself. So the shadow self is something that society has told us to toss away, to ignore, that it doesn't exist. But guess what? That shadow self exists. It's in all of us, and it presents itself each and every day, even though you're not fully aware of it. So coming in unison with your shadow self, coming into harmony, into balance with the lighter and darker aspects of yourself is really going to help your consciousness rev up and absorb everything that is going to be happening on the next level. You can't just say, oh, I'm going here, my light self, I'm leaving you behind. No. All of you goes, right? So when you come into unison with your shadow self, again, another video to go into this, but when you come into unison with your shadow self, that is going to help you be in balance so that you can really evolve the way that you need to. Definitely try to stay grounded while you are going through the Ascension symptoms. Ascension will have you feeling airy, light, as your vibration is getting lighter as you're moving into this higher energy field. So that means that you can almost feel like get lost in that, where you feel like it's all about the spirituality and it's all about, you know, that higher experience. But you've got to remember, we're on the University of Earth for a reason, right? We are having a very physical experience in this reality, which means we need to stay grounded to the earth in a lot of ways. So you can do that by spending time in nature. You can do that by eating high vibrational foods, like, you know, a lot of plant-based foods, you know, fruits, vegetables, drinking a lot of water, also just getting fresh air, like I said, being out in nature, using different herbs and things of the earth, and also crystals. Crystals help you. So just taking a lot of the earthly elements and just kind of making them a part of your daily experience will definitely help you through these ascension symptoms. Tip number 10. One of the symptoms we talked about in the last video is that there can be time gaps. So my advice for this tip is to be very intentional about how you spend your time, okay? Yes, time is speeding up. It is a fact, okay, that time is speeding up. It's not all in your mind that the day is going faster. It is going faster. So being very intentional about how you spend your day. So scheduling things out, making sure that you are, you know, just paying attention to what you are spending your time on. I mean, I think that that's very explanatory. I just don't know how else to add on to that. So just be intentional about how you're spending your time. And the last tip that I want to share is being aware of the synchronicities or the frequencies that you hear. So this is a time, again, where your psychic abilities are being ramped up. So you may be hearing things and you may be seeing things, and those things are not happening by coincidence. They are divinely inspired. So there is the divine timing behind those events. With the synchronicities, I'm going to make an entirely separate video on this because there's just too much to get into with synchronicities. But with the synchronicities, if you're noticing numbers all the time or patterns or certain words or phrases or subjects that keep popping up, make sure you're paying attention to that. Also, instead of looking up the meaning of every specific thing, pay attention to your thoughts or things that you're thinking about at the time that you're seeing or receiving those synchronicities. Same thing for frequencies. There are messages in those frequencies. Sometimes you'll hear something like a tone or something in your ear. Make sure that you're stopping and quieting and just trying to listen and trying to get the messages that are coming through that. Sometimes a word or a phrase or something will pop into your mind that came out of nowhere. Again, this is the spiritual world helping assist us along the way. We have a whole spiritual team that's up there, our whole spirit tribe that is up there helping us, okay, navigate this experience. So again, you want to be paying attention to everything that you're receiving in those ways. Okay, so that is all I have for you today. I hope that you find these tips helpful in helping you navigate the ascension symptoms, and I hope that you find comfort in knowing that you're not the only person that's going through this at this time. We're all graduating from this one grade level to the next grade level, and while it's very exciting, it can be uncomfortable while we're transitioning. So just know that, you know, you have others around you who are going through the same thing, and this is not gonna last forever, and there are ways to deal and navigate with it and make it a lot easier on yourself. If you enjoyed this video today, give me a thumbs up or, you know, comment below, let me know what you think. You are also invited to subscribe to the channel if you haven't at this time. And I have a lot more information coming for you guys. There is so much that I want to talk about. So yes, stay tuned. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I drop the next video, because there's some good, we're gonna get into some good stuff because there's just so much to know and there's so much going on, and like, It's just a lot. But definitely will bring you guys along the journey. I want you guys to all be successful and happy and thriving, and just coming together in the most beautiful way, making this experience the most beautiful experience yet. All right, so I will see you guys in the next video, and thank you for watching. Peace.